third session of the day. So for this third session, as I told you in the morning also, so we have one expert speaker who has worked a lot in this area, not only in the laboratory, but also he has published lot of CRISPR data. So he has published CRISPR book with Springer, I guess, sir. And sir has published many research review articles based on CRISPR system. So he was also part of our CRISPR-Cas-based genome editing conference that was held in our college in year 2019. 2020, sorry. So just before the pandemic. So in February, we had this offline conference, and just after that, everything was closed. So I give a brief introduction about Dr. Vijay and introduce his uh, achievements, and I'll share his achievements with all the participants here. So Dr. Vijay is an associate professor and dean, research and innovation at School of Science at Indrashil University, Mehsana, Gujarat in India. So he received his PhD in biotechnology in the year 2009 from an ICAR institute, that is National Bureau of Fish Genetic Resources, Uttar Pradesh Technical University, Lucknow. So his research during his doctoral time was focused on the development of molecular and immunoassays for diagnosis of Aeromonas hydrophila. So Professor Vijay is also was an assistant professor in the Department of Biological Science and Biotechnology at Institute of Advanced Research, Gandhinagar, before he joined Indrashil University, and he also worked as assistant professor in Department of Biotechnology at Invertis University, Bareilly. So prior to this academic experience, Dr. Vijay was a postdoctoral fellow in the synthetic biology group at Institute of Systems and Synthetic Biology, Paris, France, and in School of Energy and Chemical Engineering at Yulsan National Institute of Science and Technology, Yulsan, South Korea. So he has extensive experience in synthetic biology. He is expert with technologies such as MAGE, small regulatory RNAs, pathway designing, CRISPR-Cas systems, and microfluidics. His research interests are mainly focused on building novel biosynthetic pathways for production of medically and industrially important biomolecules. So Dr. Vijay's laboratory is also developing CRISPR-Cas tools for genome editing and diagnostic. Uh, Dr. Vijay has more than 9 years of research and teaching experience in synthetic biology. He has taught genome editing, metabolic engineering, and industrial biotechnology to different UG and PG students. So on publication side, Dr. Vijay has published over 979 articles. So that's what I was telling. So Dr. Vijay has huge list of publications in different molecular biology techniques. So he has published 15 books only with Elsewhere and Springer Nature. So he has contributed for 48 book chapters and 4 patents with around 1500 citations. So his H index is 22, and he is obviously a good communicator of science. That is what I can gather from his contributions. So also besides this, Professor Vijay serves as an associate editor of Microbial Cell Factories, Frontiers in Energy Research, and editorial board member of Synthetic Biology. He is also editorial member of Scientific Reports, Frontiers in Bioengineering and Biotechnology, and Frontiers in Microbiology, and also reviewed many peer-reviewed research articles. Besides his scientific and communicative science contribution, Dr. Vijay is also holding many administrative responsibilities. So he is a member of Board of Study and Academic Council of Indrashil University, and is a member secretary of Institutional Biosafety Committee too. He is an expert member of BIRAC Synthetic Biology Monitoring and Reviewer Committee at New Delhi, expert reviewer of projects from South Africa Medical Research Council at Cape Town, and expert reviewer of Biotechnology and Biological Sciences Research Council at United Kingdom. So with this all background, I need not to say that that we have a real expert sitting with us who can enlighten us with the working and with the scope and opportunities that are associated with CRISPR-Cas. So, over to you, Dr. Vijay Singh, and we are ready to again learn and absorb what all you have to say about CRISPR-Cas and its upcoming future.
Thank you so much, Meghna, and thank you so much to give me the opportunity to. Can you see my presentation?
Uh, Not yet, sir. So have you tried to share the presentation?
I think I'm sharing, but
So there is an up arrow which shows present now on the bottom of the screen.
I did already. So I think
Sometimes it takes time to actually load the presentation.
okay.
So is it showing on your screen?
Yeah, it is showing in mine, but
Let's try again. Let's stop the presentation and retry to again present. Click this present now option. Yeah, now it is coming. We can see your screen. Uh, However, it is not a presentation, I guess. I think you have to share the window option. So when you click present now, so your entire screen option you have to share.
okay.
Yeah,
So the entire.
yeah, entire screen.
No, I think I opened the one window. That is.
It will come. Mm. So if you can just move across the presentation slides, I can see only one screen showing your picture and Vijay Singh presentation. It is labeled as Vijay Singh presentation.
If I can go in tab, no, it's window.
So
So in
yeah,
window,
it's better to select your entire screen and then go to the presentation, click the presentation that you want to show on the screen.
now you can see or no?
Not yet coming, but it will come, I think. Yeah, now we can see.
Okay.
Yeah, now it's visible.
Can you see the movement?
Yes, we can see your presentation and exploring the potential of CRISPR-Cas system for biotechnological applications.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you can make it full screen, sir.
Yeah, I made the full screen. So maybe it take again time.
It will take time. It will take time. No problem.
Wow.
Yeah.
So thank you so much, Meghna, for giving me the opportunity. So my today presentation is exploring the potential of the CRISPR-Cas system for the different biotechnological application. So can you see now the different slide movement? So
We can see the first slide.
okay, so I think it's freeze again.
Yeah, now we can see the second slide, contents.
Okay, so I think the slowly is coming.
Yeah, it's
So the my presentation is divided basically in the three different part, which is the synthetic biology. So I will not go more detail on the synthetic biology. Second, in the genome editing, where basic focus on the CRISPR-Cas, different Cas type of the protein we use here. And the third one is the metabolic engineering, where we want to make the industrial based more chemical, where it is going to assist it with the CRISPR technology to upregulate the carbon flux and increasing the production of the product. So in the third slide, you see the synthetic biology. This is the new area. Even is 20 year has been passed, and we are in not that stage to get more and more idea about the synthetic biology. But synthetic biology is a field where design and construction of the new biological part, device and system are redesigning of the existing system for the different biotechnological application. And the ultimate goal of the synthetic biology is to design and build engineer biological system to produce the clean energy, clean the environment, produce the therapeutics, different therapeutics for the human and animal health, and improve the food quality, maintain and enhance the human and other animal health. So this is the ultimate goal where we are looking with the help of the synthetic biology. And it was the inspired through the engineering principle that is applied in the biological science. So in engineering, we have the very standard part like the screw, and we are making the device that is the engine, and we make the one car, for example. So this is the normal engineering is applied, but biology is slightly different than the engineering principle. In the biology, we don't have really standardized part and the modularity. So, but we have the similar part in the biological system that is called the promoter, ribosome binding site, degradation tag, coding DNA sequences. So this part we need to assemble together to make one device, and this device can be inserted, integrated inside the cell, and this cell can take the sugar, cheaper source of the carbon, are getting some of the information to produce the some of the chemicals, fuels, or any of the therapeutics, or we can sense the different molecule as a biosensor. So this is the whole concept about how the inspiration come inside the synthetic biology to make it. And in order to make any of the device, any of the system, we need a very huge library of the different biological part. For example, we need the promoter, and we need the different strength of the promoter in order to make any of the biological system. So we need the huge library of the promoter. So some promoter may be weak promoter, some of the strong, some of the medium strength promoter. We also need the ribosome binding site library. So some gene you need very high expression. So in that case, you need very strong RBS. We need medium strength RBS. We need the low strength RBS. So it depends upon the what really you want to build. And we need the different gene, and sometimes we need the codon optimized gene because some of the codon are the rare, and normally heterologous host does not have the rare codon more capacity and the more frequency inside the genome, so it is very difficult to produce the protein. So in that case, we need the codon optimized gene that can easily express as per the translational or transcriptional machinery present in the heterologous host. We need the library of the degradation tag because sometimes we don't need to overload of the cell with the protein. So the degradation tag we need to integrate inside the protein, and it can degrade easily the protein. So the overlaid load on the cell is going to down, and we need also the library of the transcription terminator. So some terminator is the strong one, some is the medium and high termination frequency. So along with that, we need also the library of the small RNA that is going to regulate the gene expression level, and we design the different type of the promoter by inserting the different operator site, either is activating or it's repressing, so it can change and fine tune the promoter strength. And there was the two different paper was came in the Nature in 2000 back to back, and that paper established synthetic biology as a formal field. And the paper was saying that is the oscillator, that is called the transcriptional regulator. And the second paper was the construction of the genetic toggle switch. So these two are the basic paper which were published in the Nature 2000 back to back, and they make the foundation for the synthetic biology as a field. In the 20 year ago, now 21 year has been passed, and we are still in the initial stage in our country. So this replicator was made with the three different transcription factors, that is the TET-R, LAC-I, and the lambda C1, and its corresponding promoters. Then they are going to replace their own promoter in order to make the gene expression. And for monitoring of this repression activity, they use the GFP, and when they use the time-lapse microscopy, where they are monitoring the frequency of the gene by monitoring with the GFP, they found the different wavelength was coming, and they used the MATLAB to calculate the oscillatory period, and they found the period was around 160, and the 40% cells was the oscillating. So this is the first oscillator ever made in the science, and that is the main foundation for the synthetic biology. And in 2010, 2008, there was another oscillator. It was made in the University of California from the Jay Hasti group. So this group is made the oscillator based on the two different type of the transcription, that is the activator, that is RRC, and the repressor, that is LAC-I. And they found that the cell was oscillating with the period of the 58, and they used the different inducer molecule to fine tune the oscillatory period, and they could reduce the oscillatory period from 58 to 13 minutes. So that is the one of the best oscillator ever made, and the 99% also. In the right side of the figure, you will see the cell was trapped inside the microfluidics channel, and they are dividing and they are oscillating with the green fluorescent protein, and you will see the signal. So sometimes they are going to up and down, up and down. So this is the oscillator. This is the one of the best oscillator ever made in the science. Then with this inspiration, we made the single gene based oscillator, and we use the LAC-I as a transcription factor that can repress the PL-LAC promoter, and we will see the YFP as a oscillatory for the monitoring. So we made the first single gene oscillator first time, and we could fine tune with the
One
different.
moment, one minute, Dr. Vijay. So we cannot see your slides moving. So we
Okay.
are we still on content slide?
I made the full, so you cannot see anything now, or?
No, we can see the content slide, synthetic biology, genome editing, and metabolic engineering slide.
Okay, so it is, you cannot see the movement.
No, no, no.
Oh, something
Now,
is.
yeah, now slides are missing. Yeah, now we can see.
Oh, I think if I made the full screen, then there is a problem.
Yeah.
So because there is the movie actually, so if he cannot make the full presentation, you cannot see the movie, but I will explain if it's okay with this thing. So
No, we
maybe
can see the presentation. We can see this slide of design and construction of single gene oscillators now.
okay, so I will present. There is the movie sometime, but I will explain, because if I can make again, can you see now the full screen?
Not the full screen again, but yeah, this problem, actually the same thing happened with me yesterday, but when I reshared my slides, I was able to make it full screen.
So I can stop sharing, then again make.
And reshare, you can try to reshare, right?
Okay.
So I also faced the same issue yesterday.
Can you see?
Yeah, it must be coming. Yeah.
Can you see full screen?
Now we can see full screen of your laptop or computer. So if you can put it on slideshow.
I put the slide.
Okay. Then there is some problem
But
from there's some
there
network
is,
problem only, uploading problem. No problem, sir. Please
yeah.
continue. Yeah.
So now you can see. So I can go regular mode like this. So without
Yeah. So we are on
without.
design and construction of single gene oscillator slide.
Yeah. So here you will see there is the three. So I think you cannot see anything before one, huh? But I explain
No,
little.
we couldn't see any slide before content, like after content slide. So
After
if you
content,
can take us, you can just quickly take us to through the earlier slides after the content.
okay. So
Yeah.
here you see, but after that, no.
No,
Now you see anything?
I see content slide now.
Now?
Synthetic biology slide. Yeah.
Okay, so synthetic biology now. So I will go through quickly to finish it. So synthetic biology, as you know, this is the one of the fastest growing area where the main principle is to design and construct the new biological part, device and system, or redesigning the existing system for the useful biotechnological application. Ultimate goal of the synthetic biology is to produce the energy, clean the environment, therapeutics, improve the food quality, maintains the human health and animal health. And the synthetic biology was inspired with the engineering principle, where in engineering the number of biological part, device, and system are well defined and well standardized. But in biology, it is not like that. But we have the similar system like the part like the promoter, ribosome binding sites, and the coding DNA, degradation tags. So it need to be assembled together, make the system a device, and if you integrate inside the host, then it is going to produce the medicine, fuels, chemicals, therapeutics, utilizing the cheaper carbon sources. In order to make the any of the system device, we need the very big library of the promoter, ribosome binding site, coding DNA sequences, degradation tag, terminator, and the small RNA. So these are the important part we need to standardize. We need to use for the assembly of the big device, and we need to keep. So these are the two different key foundational paper was published in 2000 in Nature, back to back. First is the oscillator, second is the toggle switch. And this is the main establishment of the synthetic biology as a formal discipline. So the oscillator was made with the three different transcription factor, that is theta, LAC-I, and the lambda C1, and its corresponding promoter. And it was measured with the green fluorescent protein, which is the GFP, and they use the time-lapse microscopy to monitor the single gene dynamics, and they identify and they found the oscillatory period of this oscillator was 160 minutes, and the 40% cells was oscillating. So it was in 2000. So in 2008, from the Jeff Hastey group in University of California, they made the oscillator based on the two gene. One is the activator, that is RAC, and the repressor, that is the LAC-I. So based on that, they made the oscillatory cells, and the cells was oscillating with the period of the 58. That can fine tune with using and changing the concentration of the inducer and the repressor molecule. And they found around 30 minutes of the oscillatory period. So that is the one of the best oscillator ever made in the science and technology. And the 99% cell was oscillating. So here there is the right side, there is the movie, but there is the problem with the loading of the movie. So you cannot see it. Otherwise, if I show, then it can be single cell is going to divide and give the different oscillator. Based on that, in our laboratory, we made the single gene-based oscillator based on the LAC-I, TET-R is the transcription factor, and its corresponding promoter like the PL-LAC, PL-TET, and the P-TET-LAC. So we use the one gene oscillator, and that can be fine-tuned with the different concentration of the individual molecule, and we use the microfluidics chip for the long-term measurement, and we measure around 72 hours. Cell was continuously growing, and we found that our cell was giving the oscillatory period as around 180. It is equivalent and similar with the first oscillator was made, and this one we made in 2010. And we use the different concentration of the ATC and the IPTG molecule to reduce the oscillatory period, and we fine tune around 90 minutes of the oscillatory period by using the inducer molecule. And in our case, we found around 80% cell was oscillating, and we use the microfluidics to trap the single cell and monolayer, and we use the MATLAB to generate the heat map. And we saw here there is the three lines, blue, red, and the green. That is the oscillation we measure with the MATLAB program. This is the design of the chip and the microfluidic setup. So in our case, we made the microfluidic chip where the cell is going to trap. We use the PDMS and the curing agent, that is the transparent oxygen easily exchange from the outside to inside without any contamination. And in our case, we use the 4 different port, one for the media, one for the cell, and 2 for the wasted. When the cell is growing, the cell is going and it is going to invest. So we have 2 waste system to collect the cell, and we use the microfluidic chip where the monolayer you can see in the right side of the down of the figure. Based on the success of the single gene oscillator, we couple 2 different single gene based oscillator and make the double or couple oscillator together. So in our system, we use the green fluorescent mode protein for the monitoring of the one oscillator, and the M-cherry, that is the red fluorescent protein, to monitoring the another oscillator. And both the oscillator we transform inside the E. coli bacteria, and right side of the movies you can see their oscillator are independently growing and working. And we use the MATLAB program to analyze the data, and we found both oscillator was independently oscillating, and we use the inducer molecule to turn off and on of the one of the oscillator. So here blue and the red indicate both oscillator was working without any inducer molecule. When we use one inducer, then one oscillator is killed. So it means both the oscillator are independently working inside the cell. Then we try to understand the small non-coding RNA, where, as we know, the small RNA that is not only playing the role of the gene repression, but is also playing the role of the gene activation. So normally, a number of the gene, they are going to cis repress, means the RBS, when the transcription is going to happen, make the mRNA. mRNA is going to form the secondary structure. And in this secondary structure, many of the time, the ribosome binding site, it is going to make the fold, and it will not allow ribosome can bind there. But in that condition, the small RNA, this is the small RNA, and it has the complementarity of your cis repress RNA that can bind there, and it will make the loop open, and then it will allow the ribosome can bind, and then the translation processes happen, and you can get the protein there. So that is the positive regulation of the small RNA. And in the case of the negative regulation, either small RNA can bind in the translation, where the mRNA in the middle, it can be bind, and it can stop the protein synthesis. So that is one kind of the repression, it is happen with the small RNA. And the second type of the RNA, it can bind with the mRNA and it can degrade it. So this type of the regulation, it is happen naturally inside the bacterial cell. So based on that, in 2004, Farhan Ishaq, who is working on the Jim Collins Group, University of Boston University, USA. As we know, in the natural prokaryotic system, there is the promoter ribosome binding site, and here they make the GFP. And when the transcription is happening, it makes the mRNA, and this mRNA have the ribosome binding site AUG as a start codon for the protein synthesis until they stop codon. So they are going to translate and make the protein. So this is the normal mechanism present in the prokaryotic system. But what they did in the riboregulator, why they are called the riboregulator? Because they use the promoter and the cis repress region, ribosome binding site, and the GFP. When they are going to transcribe, it can make the longer mRNA that have the cis repress region, ribosome binding site, and the AUG as a start codon for protein synthesis. Once they are going to form the secondary structure, this cis repress region, they are going to complementarity with the ribosome binding site. So with this condition, this mRNA is not going to express any protein. So here is the switch up. But they design the trans-activating RNA, and this trans-activating RNA, it can bind with the cis-repress region, and they can make our label RBS free, and it can give the translation. So this is the call the synthetic riboregulator, yeah, riboregulator, both you can say. So based on that work, we made the circuit where the two small RNA we express under the control of the PL-LAC and PL-TET promoter, and both the RNA, small RNA, they are going to induce by the ATC and the IPTG molecule, because we use the LAC-I and TETR as the transcription factor that they can bind with the promoter region to stop the mRNA synthesis, start the small RNA synthesis. And down of this system, we use the consecutive promoter, so it can continuously produce the superfolded GFP, and which is also the cis repress. Once both the mRNA, both the small RNA, it is going to active, then you can get only the expression. So in our case, you can see in the down figure, this is the C. So we use in first case, we did not use any type of the inducer like IPTG and ATC molecule. So first line in the graph, you will see very small expression of the GFP. When you use the IPTG only, then there is no ATC molecule, expression is little. And also when you use only the ATC molecule, inducer molecule without IPTG, again there is the small expression of the GFP. When we use IPTG and ATC both, then we see the very high level of the GFP. It means only if you see the cases of the AND gate where 0, 0 is the 0, 1, 0 is the 0, 0, 1 is the 0, and the 1, 1 is the 1. So this signal, it is truth table we receive, and we will able to make the AND gate inside the bacteria based on the small RNA. And we work also on the phage, which now you see like the emerging technology now, and the phage has emerged as a powerful technology. And we know phage is very specific for the killing of the bacteria, and it can easily bind with the cell of the bacteria. Then they can deliver the DNA, make the transcription translation, and they make the progeny assembled inside the cell, and they are going to lyse. So we use the T7 bacteriophage for making the bacteriophage based therapy. So bacteriophage, why we choose? Because it's well established, and the genetic tools is available to make easily manipulation. So we taken the T7, it is deleted with the GP5 gene. So GP5 is the important gene in the bacteriophage T7, which is going to make the DNA replication. So DNA polymerase, if it's not there, then this phage is not going to replicate. So we took this from the David Louis from the Harvard University, and we construct the GP5, which is expressed under the control of the T7 promoter, and we transform into the E. coli. When we try to infect the T7 deleted with the GP5, So the E. coli does not have GP5. So when they are going to have the infection, they are not going to easily kill any type of the cell. So this cell is not going to lyse. But in the case of the E. coli having the GP5, so T7 bacteriophage easily replicate inside the cell, and they can get the transcription, translation, and they can lyse the cell. So in the movie, it can be possible, and that is the part where we are thinking to use the bacteriophage for the killing of the multi-drug resistance bacteria. So our lab is also now working to whole genome wide screening of the novel therapeutic drug molecule in the Klebsiella pneumoniae based on the CRISPR interference technology to kill the specific bacteria after the identification of the novel target. The second part of the presentation is the CRISPR-Cas based genome engineering technology, which you know is very recent development in last 10 years. In 2012, it was the first paper was published from the Jennifer Doudna group, and that was the one of the landmark paper to make the foundation as a CRISPR as a technology for the genome editing. So as we know, and in maybe last several days, you are heard about the classification of the CRISPR. So now the CRISPR is divided into the two classes, class 1 and the class 2. And the class 1 is quite complex, where its number of the protein is required. And the class 2 is the simple system where the one protein is the multi-domain protein is required to make the system working. So many of the work which are going to use for the CRISPR editing is from the class 2. So now we use the class 2, class 4 and the class 6 molecule where the Cas9, Cas12 and Cas13. So this is the multiple domains single protein is involved to making the genome editing. So this is the, before it was only 3 type of the type 1, 2 and 3. Now it is discovered in 2019 paper in 6 different type of the CRISPR system is available. So normally how the system is working, so it's kinds of the adaptive immunity. So when the bacteriophage is infect to the bacteria, so they put the spacer inside the repeat. So the bacteria have the repeat, but the spacer is coming from the bacteriophage. Once this are going to transcribe, so that is called the adaptation. When they are going to transcribe and make the pre-CRISPR RNA, and they are going to process and make the mature CRISPR RNA, and that is called the biogenesis and the processing. Once they are going to find the, when the phage is again infect, they can interfere with the phage and degrade the phage. So that is getting the immunity of the from the bacteriophage with this system. So this is the naturally developed system to making the immunity inside the bacteria, either coming from the phage or coming from the plasmid. So if you want to make any CRISPR-Cas system working, so we need the 3 requirements. One is the expression of the Cas9 protein, which is the single protein, but the multi-domain protein. And we need the guide RNA where a handle for the Cas9 is required and the terminator. And where you are going to target the PAM sequences is very important to binding there and the killing there. So once you express both system together inside the cell, they are going to target and bind with the target DNA, and it can create the double stranded break. And this double stranded break, it is going to repair either is from the non-homologous end joining or homologous direct repair. Once they are going to follow the non-homologous end joining, there is the chances of the insertion or deletion of the some nucleotide from that region, and it allows the gene knockout or knock-in or mutation. So it's finally interrupt the gene function. When you follow the homologous directed repair and you provide the donor's DNA, which have the homology where you want to insert or integrate your DNA, it can easily correct the mutation. So it can be used for making number of diseases like the sickle cell anemia, muscular dystrophy, and the thalassemia. So where one gene mutation is there, and it can be corrected in the mouse model. And with this technique, we can create number of the disease model, correct the defective gene, control the virulence factor, eradicate fungal, viral, bacterial. So this has a lot of application. And the second version of the CRISPR is called the CRISPR interference, where it can repress the transcription initiation, it can repress the transcription elongation, or it can activate the promoter activity to increase the production, or it can be used for the imaging of the genomic loci. So, but by you need to fuse the dCas9 with the GFP. So here, what is the important, because the Cas9 have the two active region in the 10th position and 840 position. If you make the mutation in that position, the Cas9 become the dead Cas9, which is called the deactive Cas9, and it cannot make any breakage on the DNA, but it has still ability to bind with the DNA sequences in presence of the guide RNA. So this is happening, and we use for the interference of the any of the gene if you want to repress the gene function. So very short period of the time, Professor Carpentanier and Jennifer Doudna received the Nobel Prize for the discovery and the development of the genome editing technology last year. And based on the CRISPR-Cas technology, we made also the autonomous computing machine, where we use the small guide RNA and also the CRISPR interference based system, that where we use the making the 27 different type of the and NOT gate and the S gate in order to make this system. So we are not going very detailed about how the system is working, but we use the CRISPR interference to making this autonomous system, where as you know, the tic-tac-toe, this is the first computer game, and the same thing we made in the E. coli, so it can fight against the human. So it's like the computer to human, and here we make the bacteria to human. So it can fight, and it's try to always win this game. In order to make this game, so we prove the system working. So we use the E. coli BL21 cell, where we express the guide RNA under the control of the consecutive promoter. And we constructed one plasmid. It has the GFP expression that is expressed under the control of the PT7 promoter, and the dCas9 expressed under the control of the lowest strength consecutive promoter. And we transform together in the BL21, and we monitor the GFP expression. So the plus sign here, A minus, A plus, B minus, B plus, C minus, C plus, like this. So A minus means there is no guide RNA present. A plus means there is guide RNA present. So all the plus sign you will see there is very little or ignorance type of the GFP expression. So it means we get 99% of the gene repression based on the CRISPR interference CRISPR-I technology. And we tested different type of the guide RNA, and we checked the orthogonality, because in order to build the tic-tac-toe game, we need 12 different type of the independent orthogonal guide RNA that cannot interfere in order to make this game. And we check our guide RNA are not crosstalk, and they are independent. And we tested the data with this fluorimeter. And we also tested and make this, there is, if you see this here in the chart, there is no crosstalk to each other, and we found there is the small guide RNA are orthogonal, and they are not crosstalking, so they are independently working. And we also use CRISPR Cas13, which is another version of the CRISPR system. So for the diagnostic application, in 2017, paper was published from the MIT group, from the Peng Zhang, and they developed this CRISPR diagnostic first time, and this CRISPR is the like auto level of the diagnostic. So in this system, we also published the paper on the CRISPR Cas13 based diagnostic system, where the good things with the Cas13, it can degrade either RNA or DNA molecule, but Cas9 only degrade the DNA molecule. So here, if you see, if you have the target single stranded RNA molecule, so we need to do the RT-RPA. So this is kinds of the polymerase chain reaction, but it is happen on the room temperature. So normally the PCR, it is going, you need to have the thermal cycler where you need to maintain 94, 55, 72 of the cycle to get the PCR. Here you don't need to have this system. Here we use normally the recombinase polymerase amplification, that is called the RPA. And this RPA, it is going to get the more number of the DNA. So that is called the reverse transcriptase RPA. If you have the DNA, double stranded DNA, so you need to amplify. So we use directly the recombinase polymerase amplification to get this more number. Once we have this more number, either from the RNA or from the DNA, we need to do the T7 transcription to make more RNA molecule. And once we have abundant amount of the RNA, then we use the Cas13 guide RNA and the quencher fluorescent molecule, and we mix together and do the Cas13 reporter assay, and we can monitor with the fluorescent microscopy, fluorescent spectroscopy to see the signal. Or we can use also the in the lateral flow to see the monitoring of the bands, whether this present positive or negative. So in order to make this system functional, we also took the Cas13 from the Peng Zhang group from the MIT. But all the plasmid, whatever in this world people is working, it is normally available in AdGene, which is the plasmid based repository in United States, and you need to find out which system you want. You can order with the $60 and you can get it. So we get this Cas13A from the AdGene, and we amplify AdGene based Cas13, and we do the cloning in the PET28A vector, and we confirm this vector is having this Cas13, and then all this restriction digestion cloning process was happened and done and checked with the sequencing. We have now the clone of the Cas13 in our PET28 vector. Then we transform in the E. coli, and we will be able to express the Cas13, and the red sign you will see here, there is the expression of the overexpression of the Cas13 in the SDS space, and we also able to purify using the nickel NTA chromatography column of this pure form of the Cas13. And now we are developing the lateral flow based assay for detection of the bacteria using our CRISPR Cas13 technology. Then the third part is the metabolic engineering of the E. coli. We are working in the lab. As you know, the microbial cell we consider as the chemical factory. So if you see only the glycolysis pathways, Krebs cycle, there is the number of the acid is produced: citric acid, isocitric, malic, oxalic acid. So all the acid you can convert into as a chemical factory, and you can overproduce. But sometimes there is a problem with the metabolic pathways or cell factories is the tolerance. So product toxicity is the major concern in the biorefineries, and we need to develop the bioprocess based platform to increase the production of the chemicals, fuels, or whatever. But normally the wild type of the bacteria, it does not have enough tolerance for the large scale production of the industrial application. So in order to increase the tolerance level in the any of the production organism, we need to do either global transcription factors engineering, or we need to do the export pump. So all the product, it is going to easily going outside in the media, or we need to do the adaptive laboratory evolution under the given stress condition, but it need to be balanced with the stress and the yield. So if you give the more stress, the yield should be the high. So this is the concept in the biorefineries for increasing the production for the industrial scale at the competitive price. So we did the adaptive laboratory evolution, where in this experiment we use the lambda ret system. That system was inserted in the mutase. Mutase, this is very important protein. So in the system where the mismatch repair system, normally it is going to correct. If you make any mutation, it is going to correct automatically. But if you make the mutation, or if you inactivate the mutase gene, the whatever the mutation it is going to happen, it is going to accumulate, so it is not going to repair anything. So we inactivated the mutase gene in order to make the more mutation inside the bacteria, and we subculture the bacteria for the 3 month of the period, increasing the tolerance level, and then we select the highest tolerant mutant, and we made the growth curve and select the top mutant. They are going to having the very high level of the tolerance. So in our case, we chose the 4 different parameter, which is normally uh, available or normally hindering the productivity in the biorefineries. So temperature is the one of the major issues. Salt, pH, and the solvent, when they are going to increase, they are going to die. So we slowly increase the temperature of the growth. So by using the system, so we make the bacteria that E. coli, normally it is growing like 40 42 degree, but we increase the temperature slowly for the period of the 3 months, and we raise the bacteria that was able to grow on the 46-degree temperature, and we found number of the mutant, it can be fast growth as compared to the reference. And we also increase the pH, we also decrease the pH of the growth media, and we found number of the mutant that can grow in the lower pH. When we use the production of the acid, so when acid is produced, for example citric acid, the pH is going to be down, but when the pH is going to down, the cell is going to die. So we need to get the highest tolerance of the cell, so it can be easily grow, and the increasing the concentration of the organic acid in the fermenter. And we use the different pH 5 and 5.5. We use the different concentration of the solvent like butanol, NaCl, and we identify number of the mutant that can grow in the very high level of the tolerance level, and that can be further used for the industrial application. And we do the metabolic engineering of the E. coli for production of the lycopene. So we constructed the gene circuit, that pathways that contain the CRTEBI. So this is the 3 gene which is normally absent in the E. coli, and it can express under the control of the PTRC. This is the one of the stronger promoter in the bacterial E. coli system, and we transform this plasmid inside the bacteria, and the bacteria have the native pathway that is called the DXP. Until the FPP, farnesyl pyrophosphate, we had the pathways, but after that there is no pathway, so we inserted this heterologous pathways by using the plasmid, and we extend the DXP pathways, and we will be able to produce the lycopene inside the bacteria. But the bacteria have some rate limiting gene. Here if you see in the block like in the box, like the red color, so there are the rate limiting gene. So this rate limiting gene is not allowed to get the higher carbon flux towards the lycopene production. So we use the automated genome engineering method, where we are going to change the ribosome binding site of the two rate limiting gene, that is called the DXX and IPI, and we use the random RBS sequences to randomize, and we will be able to produce very high amount of the lycopene in the E. coli, and you will see it. So we also working on the pigment, which is normally we use the synthetic color in the from the petrochemical, and now the time has changed, and the global food color market is 1.79 billion, and the number of the chemical based dye or color are banned in many of the country. So now the alternative is the using the microbial based or plant based color or the dyes and the pigment. So the global sale of the natural color is 600 million, which is 29% higher than the expected. And day by day, they are going to increase. Now the natural pigment are the cleaner, safer, and eco-friendly. We use here the Chromobacterium biolysine. So these kinds of the bacteria, they can naturally produce the biolysine, which is the violet color pigment. But this pigment have the antimicrobial, antioxidant, anti-tumor activity. It can be used in the food, cosmetics, textile, or any of the plastic. But this natural organism, this wild type organism, have the very low productivity, so it cannot go for the industrial application, and it has also the lacking of the number of the molecular biology toolbox to increase the production, and it has also the coming in the risk group too. So the biosafety is also issues to use this bacteria for the fermentation application. So we want to use the metabolic engineering along with the synthetic biology as an alternative tool to produce the biolysine inside the bacteria. So we have identified the tryptophan pathways which is present in the bacteria, but there are the number of the rate limiting gene that need to be increased, like the TRPE or TRPD. It's need to be upregulated in order to increase the up to the production of the tryptophan. And there is the also the tryptophan regulator, so like the TNA and the TRPR that need to be knocked down. So we cannot do the knock out, because this is the also the essential gene in the bacteria. So we need to knock down like 90% in order to increase the tryptophan. Once the tryptophan is increased, now we are building, we are integrating, we are developing the synthetic pathways for the biolysine. So it's require the 5 different gene, that is called the bio B, E, C, D, and E. So these 5 gene is required for making the biolysine inside the E. coli. So now we are building the pathways, and we will be able to amplify the complete gene set. It's like the 8.5 kb of the gene of the complete gene, and now we are in the stage to build the whole cluster of the bio ABCD inside the E. coli to produce the biolysine that is the safer, cheaper, and the better. And the E. coli, the good things, all the genetic tool is available, and it can utilize the cheaper carbon sources. So apart from my all this research activity, so I'm the uh, editor of the number of the book. So it is, you cannot see it because it's coming one by one, but I saw because of the problem with this presentation in the complete Zoom of the complete. So I'm editor of the number of the book is available inside the either in the Elsevier or Springer. So any of the person if you're interested to go more detail in the synthetic biology, genome editing, metabolic engineering, so it is available. Apart from this activity, I am also the editorial board member, associate editor of the Microbial Cell Factory, which is very good journal from the Springer, and the Frontier Energy Review scientific report, and the synthetic biology, and the Frontier Microbiology, Bioengineering, Biotechnology. So I am doing other activity in the, and apart from that, like reviewer of the several journal. So all the credit goes to my student. They are working hard to get more and more data, and we are closely working. Last 5 years, we are doing continuously without any stoppage or without any hesitation. So we regularly working. That's why we do a lot of work apart from our scientific work. And thanks to collaboration from the Dr. Binod Kumar, he is in Crane Health University, UK. And the Professor Alfonso Jaramillo, he is my postdoc supervisor. He is in University of Warwick. And my friend, Professor Antonio Chagona in University of Warwick, UK. And one of my collaborator, Ding Toi Chu, he is the Vietnam National University, Vietnam. Professor Suresh Ramakrishna from Hang University, South Korea. Professor Paolo Kesho from the University of Nottingham. And Professor Pawan, he is in Jain. And my work is supported by the GSBTM state government funding for developing the CRISPR-Cas technology. So thank you so much for this, your kind attention. I am very happy if you have any other question.
So, dear participants, if you have any questions, please write your questions in the chat box or either unmute yourself to ask questions from Dr. Vijay. So it was really a nice presentation, Dr. Vijay. And as I told our participants earlier that you have so much work that you have done, and in form of books, in form of publications, and even at the lab level. So it must be very difficult to cover that whole work in this short duration of time.
Yes.
But we really enjoyed. So any questions? Okay, so Nivetha, Professor Nivetha, you have raised your hand. Do you want to ask something? Okay. So I have one question, gene oscillation. What is the application of studying gene oscillation actually?
Okay, because we have the natural circadian oscillator. So in middle of the night, like 10, 11, you are going to sleep.
Yeah.
It is coming because of the genes. They are going to oscillating. They are going to give the certain concentration. So this is the naturally, because if you understand how gene is working, for example, like operon everybody knows. So we try to understand the single gene function, and we found oscillation is the one of the behavior which is naturally present. And making this designing, we now understand this is behaving like this. So this is the one natural basic understanding how the oscillation. So next, for example, if you want to apply as industries or any of the therapeutics, like we are facing with the hemophilia, that is the one clotting factor. Once there is going to cut, the gene should be upregulate high to give the clotting factor in order to make this blood clotting enough.
Right.
So that is the but it is not ever is still available, and we really need more and more community work and help to build this type of the system. If you want to produce any chemical with this time period, for example, if you want to very high expression after 6 hours, so you need oscillations. So every 6 hours you get the maximum yield.
True. So I think that's a huge application. Everything that is created by nature is time dependent.
Yes, yes.
So wherever it is time, even plants, they are producing fruit on a season to season basis. Even plants flowering on a season to season basis.
That's true. So
that,
we
that
are
is
digitalizing more and more, reprogramming more and more cell towards the more application side. And
Right.
yeah, we initiated number of work in our laboratory. So I cover few of them, which is useful.
No, I really love this concept of gene oscillation because personally, I've never gone through any kind of this research that studies on this oscillation part of a gene. So
like you have the BTech is like the student BTech MTech. So creativity is very important. So mine is more coming through the engineering side. So it's like the core engineering. If you cannot build any system, you cannot understand. That is the saying of someone. So, but we try to build and we try to understand, but it will take time.
True, that's true. So I'm hoping that soon this research that you're doing is soon converted into a technology, and that would be very useful for our community and for everyone in the society.
We are in the discussion to transferring because I have the patent on the BioLysine product,
Okay.
and we now try to transfer in the industry for the textile printing.
Mhm.
That cloth should become antimicrobial. So we
Right.
are in the discussion, and we hope if our strain is good enough, so we can go for the large scale fermentation and.
So I think for our
Uh,
participants also, this is a very new area that you have learned today, that CRISPR can be successfully used for all the biocircadian pathways which are actually time dependent, which are uh, actually connected to a certain time duration. So as Professor Neha Sharma says that yes, that's why CRISPR is linked to Gates in your research area.
yes,
That's true. So gates like it's like a our body and our processes are like a electronic circuit. So they switch
you
on and
know,
off.
I have the one of the collaborator in Japan,
Mhm.
and what he is developing, he developed the one tool that is called the base editing. So
Okay.
here we are making the knock, we are making like the break of the DNA. But in
Mhm.
the base editing, you don't need to break the complete DNA because sometimes there is another problem happen. But there is the deamination or this process is happening. So base is going to changes
Right.
pyrimidine to purine, purine to pyrimidine. So this happened, and they published the paper, and we also published together some of the work with him. And he is changing A to C, C to A, like the because sickle cell anemia, muscular dystrophy, progeria, they have the single gene mutation, and it can be easily turned off and on in order to make the disease proper. So this is already proof in the Harvard University by the David Louis group for the progeria disease in the model of the mouse, and they are having in fact testing in maybe in the human very soon. So the single thalassemia, muscular dystrophy, thalassemia, and there is a number of the startup based on the CRISPR happen in United States. One biggest startup is the Editas Medicine, is from the Harvard group from the George Church. He was the key member for the human genome sequencing, and now he has a startup for the correcting the somatic cell-based gene mutation in sickle cell anemia, muscular dystrophy. Still, the cost is very high, but they are trying. So this is the happening. And the Jennifer Donna, maybe she has more than 10 company. Monsanto, she has signed, and she has many company on this CRISPR to go into the field.
That's true. So it is generally said that research has no money until you develop a technology. So once you develop a technology, you are the richest person on this planet.
I think the United States, the main motto, develop the technology to be become rich because there is people living in the Padeshna, and this is the mainly the MIT's people, and all the MITs are the billionaire
Yeah,
like this.
that's true. That's true. So I think in our country also we should focus on something developing something that can be actually useful at the healthcare level, at the public level, at the community level, and then again never to forget that we need to patent also.
And we, I think, need the community help, and we are not collectively work together to find out some of the major issues and come up with the idea. I work with the Vietnam National University professor and last 1 year, and
Mhm.
he published 13 paper in the main Lancet,
Oh,
and we published very small paper in Lancet Regional Health, and they connected around 200 countries with the 2 lakh data, and they publish like this. So we are somehow missing this thing. So we are not the if you see his paper like the 500 author, with the 5 page only author, then 15 page is only affiliation, then 5 page only paper. So, so this thing we miss, and sometimes we discuss, we talk how we are handling. So they are bigger vision they have, and somehow we in India we are missing such type of the thing. So we need to be come together and solve some of the major. And you may know one of the biggest project in United States on the CRISPR. They received around 190 million dollar to do all the type of the CRISPR in mammalian system. So they are going to make use every mammals for the human therapy purpose. Where the Jennifer Donna is also involved.
I think they are working on very a big scale, and
Yes.
but ultimately the idea is to use it for benefit of everyone on this
Yes,
planet.
that's true. That's
Right.
true.
So Professor Neha has asked, can we have any workshop for training in this area for faculties?
From my side, no, but we are associated with the Gujarat Biotechnology Research Center, where we jointly doing the training every time. But very few people really working, so it is little hard. And we are in a small lab, so but definitely in coming year I will organize one of the area where the CRISPR it is going to use for the editing. So we are building now number of the tools based on the CRISPR Cas13, Cas9, DCas9. Once the tool is available, it is easy to demonstrate. Definitely, we will arrange some of the meeting for the faculty in coming year.
Definitely. Great. So it was a great session, sir. Dr. Vijay, many thanks from our participant side, from my side, that you've presented an interesting piece of research from your work. And we have learned a lot. And this has opened again a new application of CRISPR in gene oscillation studies. So really thankful, and we would like to continue this association in future also. So whenever there is a name of CRISPR or CRISPR based training program or a conference, so the first name that clicks in my mind is yours always.
Thank you, thank you.
So thank you so much. So I think thank you participants for patiently listening to all the sessions which we are having since morning at 10 a.m. So thank you for all the motivation that we get from you, because as a speaker, as a coordinator, the only motivation is that participants are listening, they are enjoying, and they are understanding.
Yes, yes.
That's thank you so much. So with this, we'll end our today's session, and we'll meet again tomorrow morning. So there is a slight change in morning session tomorrow. So I'll update you on your WhatsApp group, on email also. So maybe we'll start tomorrow's session from 9 a.m. to morning. So I'll update you that accordingly. So once I get confirmation. Okay, thank you, Dr. Vijay. I
Thank
think
you.
all the participants, they are writing their feedbacks about the great session that they had today.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a great weekend, sir.
Thank you, bye.
Bye bye. Definitely, I can think about a workshop in the specific area of gene oscillation, or basically gene expression at a very specific time. So let us first finish this ongoing program. So this is again going to coming to an end by tomorrow. So let's gear up for tomorrow. Tomorrow is a big day. So we have 3 sessions tomorrow and followed by a test. So I'm pasting the attendance link again here for all of you. Please, if you have not filled the attendance yet, please fill your attendance for this session. And have a great evening.